Hello everyone. The title of today's episode is Leaving Addiction with a Leaf. Before I begin though, I would like to communicate how one should be listening to this talk, especially this one, and in what contexts they need to be tolerant in. You need to see, guys, when I say addiction, if you have suffered from it, whether it's an addiction to substances or an addiction to ideology and terminology, you'll begin to see that addiction is the action done at a certain state of consciousness. So the addiction is first being tackled by Mr.Within as the concept before introduced experientially and practically. You may find yourself in moments in this human experience where you are incapable and where there is suffering and where there is opposition, and there is a certain awareness to how externally things are not flowing well, but you are still sincerely trying to figure out how you can make it better. Let's say every human being is. That's how existence exists. It intends to. So, regardless of what dark corner one is found, one must understand that corner is connecting the room. The corner is suggesting that you are in a room. And so it's very important for whoever you are and whatever habit and routine you have developed into to become aware that you are more than the immediate ideology which you think you are. Let's say if you've right now feel like a failure, you're more than this idea you have, because you can have more ideas, it seems. You can have more thoughts. And it seems that just like we can have thoughts, we also have ways of reacting to thoughts. It's like thoughts, the way we're observant of them, we can react to them and there's a simultaneous presence. And this is mainly because thought is not yours. Thought is a phenomena within this plane in which you are aware of, for you are, in a sense, beyond the plane. What that means, the person who created the game knows how to play it. Incapability is just a firm suggestion. So what that means is you as a human being might find yourself engaging with certain substances or certain phenomena or certain things in this life. It could be anything. Anything that you're in, you could be, and you need to recognize that the reason what is happening to you and the condition you are in, that sense of addictive isolation, of constantly wanting something but not getting it, is because of two reasons. Who you feel you are is first a moment of being before there is any interpretation. So what Mr.Within would say is that if we were among mystics and yogis, we would see that psychology would not be an external phenomena. That how you perceive yourself has been suggesting the world, and in that moment of being in that addictive seat again, you are beginning to see that you are either receiving it in an addictive manner or it's being expressed and you're seeing it. You either need to take a creator existential responsibility or a creation existential responsibility, or go even beyond these two and observe your whole spectrum. So when someone tells you, oh man, there's something bad happening, you're like, no. You know, it could be in this moment, but bad is just interpretation of what the moment is. Someone's voice, my voice right now is a phenomena in your environment and in your proximity, your sphere of awareness. So what that means is when you become aware that you are aware of something, you are more than what you are aware of. Existential observance is when it doesn't matter what you are, what kind of being you are. The minute you're an individual consciousness, you will be kept individual unless you choose to trust that you are whole. You see? It's as if that moment of self-exploration where you were sitting by a stream in nature, very silently, and just feeling how before you have opinions, life is happening. And so before we begin moving within a moving process, this awareness of the stillness and silence of your being is crucial, for it then gives you the clarity that you are more than your ideas. So when it is suggested leaving addiction with a leaf, begin to observe a leaf. When I was by that stream, I saw the amazement of this phenomena. And you know, there's different kinds of wonder, guys. There's one where, oh, look how interesting the design of that leaf is. And there's one way of, wow, look at how amazing my design of sensory perception is to receive this in this moment. As if, how is the intelligence of such a unique design on this tree present in front of me right now? How is there something in front of me? And so the mystic begins to remember the silence in which form comes out of. Non-existence is studied through the silence and stillness of your projection. So on one YouTube video, I saw this guy coming up to this guru and telling this guru, "Sir, I've been doing this, habit or addiction. How do I get enlightened? How do I realize this?" And so what I noticed, and I was just looking at how the guru would answer in that YouTube video, and I saw the guru looked at that guy and was like, "You don't just need the breaking of the ideology that is making you feel that you need to just have that view and modality of desire. But in awareness of desire, you see it was just a natural interpretation of causality. Many things happen here where if you only choose to see linear, you will literally be blindfolded of. You have to develop non-linear trust within your existence, and this non-linearity is based on your direct experience. So what that means is when you are given two opportunities, whether to read a skydiving pamphlet or to go skydiving, make sure you go skydiving, For the clouds are awaiting. There's an inspiration here. Look at your life. Many people get writer's block, and I do not understand how you can get writer's block when life is at your doorstep, when you have been a very unique individual, designed by your experience and choices and the nature of how you are aware of things. You are advanced communication, and that is why man is an advanced communicator, because he is recognizing he is not just a physical body. Do not dull the human being. Go actually experience the phenomena that is your life and begin to see visions that carry beyond duality. What that means is you are no longer fighting, striving, but embracing life as it is. In other words, whether you are being suddenly thrown into the self-induced projection of suffering, you must begin to see it is you who have brought your vision here. What holds your vision and what keeps you here is so profound that it is you. And so what happens when a transcendental sword rips apart an objective veil? It suggests that man was never alone, for his loneliness was, again, act of conception. Become aware. What Mr.Within finds at this point is that you are not a certain range of personalities. You are not a certain person. You have a certain attention. Just like how you pay attention to something and you see something there, it's as if something is paying attention in which you are designed in a certain unique manner. now that you're designed in a certain unique manner, you're becoming observant, and so it's like the human beings evolved to a point where it's like, okay, oh God, I'm here. He's realizing he's here. And so then we've evolved even more, and we've realized there's planets, and we've realized many things, and suddenly we're beginning to see, okay, what else is there to explore? The origin of the projection. The origin of reality. The origin of life. The origin of your awareness. Because a manner of you must accept, but a manner of you must continue to begin seeing and pursuing your directest experience. And direct experience does not mean your routine has to change, by the way. You can be doing the same task every day, but your experience of that day will change by your state of consciousness. Ideas will feel different to you. You will begin to become aware of your moment before it transitions into the next. So it's as if like you've kind of known what's going to happen in a little while, you know? And somehow you're just prepared. Because this phenomena is the intelligence of the mind that is observing a body, not a body that is trying to figure out how the mind is observing. Freedom was the voice, for the echo was always doubting where it originated from, for it could not know it. Sometimes you are positioned in a certain way because there is some reason the cosmos wanted you to exist this way. And when I say some reason, because it's going into abstraction, because all reasoning is kept on the platform of, oh my God, how are we thinking about things and how are we having certainty, where imagination seems to be everywhere. My friend, existential suffering is here to make you aware of your existential intelligence. All fluctuations of physical form are here to make you aware. If you choose to, you can go into experiences of language and communication. But it is very important that before the Zen master fills his cup, he makes sure that it's empty. Because then that's a fulfilled cup, that's a fulfilled life, where you are aware of what you are not, to then see what you are. Because cause and effect are found within a certain range of perception. You will see certain states of consciousness, it's an instant awareness, for it is beyond the segmentation of time. So how you're aware of space and time is actually you as an individual consciousness. So if you were to visualize right now an individual in a house, imagine that individual in the house suddenly no longer being an individual, getting the awareness of the room it's in, suddenly becoming the room that's aware of the individual, and suddenly becoming the whole house that's aware of the room, and then suddenly becoming the cosmos that is aware of this. And you begin to see, as you are perceiving through the various ways in which views can be present in life, you are in a sense understanding that it is a projection, that of course there is brain chemistry going on. Of course dream states must be questioned for eons, because there is a reason of how man should keep himself. And because there's a multidimensional intelligence here, humanity will burden itself if it does not open to new ways of living. New ways of living is more important than new ways of doing something specific. Stories have been distracting man from his greatest survival, the survival of his consciousness, the survival of his perception, the survival of his eyes. You are here for a certain amount of time, it seems. As a physical being, it seems that I'm walking to the coffin every minute. And so, why am I late? Because there's a consideration of time. Before, guys, we transition out of physicality, really become aware of the beauty that this physicality is suggesting of the space and time it's in. What that means is that moment when that child could no longer see a distinction in dreams and wakefulness while he was just sitting in the park, you will begin to see it is a state of consciousness, but it is aligned. So what that means is, regardless of how much abstraction one talks about, if you are aware, if you are not going into those realities, you are untouched by communication. So don't be surprised that there are beings here that communicate in a way where the communication is happening. And as it is happening, it seems like the being is not doing a single thing. Because, guys, the sages knew that more than working with your physical body, there is ways of working as your world, as your origin of awareness. And so unfortunately nowadays, it's less common for people to just go into some nature and go observe what they are made of. Go observe for themselves. In other words, before they answer any question of what someone asks them in regards to how have you been, who are you, what's up, just give yourself an empty opportunity to see what is real for you. Begin to see if it's real and realize if it's real or not, it has to be a change that is being filled up with ambition. So when it is suggested leaving addiction with a leaf, what is happening is by considering natural phenomena, nature could never be wrong. For it just happened. What is greater than ideology? Happening. That's that which is happening. So, the path transforms through your vision into becoming an actuality which can be playfully and transcendentally be suggested by the quote, to be in the world but not of it. What that means is you are here, you're actually very able because you are not thinking about thoughts. So sometimes you begin to see your thought can happen so well. One thing I've noticed about substances and in general just the phenomena of addiction, that it's as if you are not in the right room. It's as if you know what to do, you know how to do the right thing, but somehow you're not doing it, you know? And it's like this phenomena is occurring. So you need to see that it needs to get tiring for you, just like how if you had like 4 deja vus in a day, you'd just be like, okay, you know? So it's very important to kind of see that it is you who needs to save you. It is you with your clarity of vision, you can be existence. We are experiencing thingness, somethingness. So when we go, for example, when I walk, I can touch a leaf, I can go touch that bench. It's physical, it's here. I'm acknowledging this and I'm not saying that that is not here. What that means is I have no opposition to any thought, for I do not consider thought as belonging to anyone. Thought is a phenomenon which is observed internally and communicated externally. But it is not you. It is, again, just an action, and begin to see why you're posting things. Begin to see how you're postulating reality. Begin to observe how much you're keeping yourself in an addiction mentality. Because really, if you think about it, that time which you're giving into thinking that you're depressed or you have an addiction or you're suffering is the time which you need to use to actually get out of that suffering. Do not continue an action that does not serve you, because perhaps it's not serving you, for you're not doing it sincerely. You're not sincerely realizing how you need to get out of it. And sometimes you need to understand, especially with substances, the human being needs to be really aware of this. Any action that is repetitively done begins to ground certain ideas into your mentality, into your mindset. It could be anything, it doesn't matter. You could just be a gardener and you'd see after a while you'd feel like a tree. You know, as if the environment, you were so aware of it that you felt you were parts of it, you know? And of course this has happened to the mystic. I saw a very beautiful picture where it showed a man, a mystic, some guy had drew this on Facebook, and this mystic was sitting in the middle of the forest, and his beard and hair were kind of like roots and leaves, as if he was so present here and so out of the range of choosing to be a thought to even doubt truth. His direct experience was untouched. And so that's of course my interpretation of the imagery. But again, guys, states of consciousness are very important. States of consciousness means that when you're in one room, you're looking at things, you're looking at a certain world, that's one state of consciousness. Then as you walk into another room, there's a different state of consciousness. And guys, multidimensional travel, it is not set, even though there's a suggestion that it is set. What that means is multidimensionality means you from your linearity begin to see how the linear implies the non-linear, become comfortable with it, trust it, and confront your fears and all those things which are giving you problems or an ideology to even be problematic. And then you become and you maintain a state. You stand your guard in clarity of the present moment before ideology of time and space consideration come into your mind. So we must become very clear of the life force that is the direct experience here. This is a human phenomena. We are not objects. Objects have desires. Individual objects have desires, you know? And when I say objects have desires, I mean an object suggests an individuation where we see that there is even an individual to have a desire. How you interpret what you see is the suggestion of your world. Give yourself a very able and profound structure of thought. Recognize that creativity means involvement, and involvement means evolving into a new process. So don't think you can know what you're going to do. Existence could never have problems. Only aspects of existence that considered an individuality. We are individuals within a collective glance. You thought you had nothing, but look around. The intelligence in your essence exists just as everything else does. The greatest people, all those idols, all those people who you whether like or dislike are all existing now. And so when you see one flower, that has a sense of wonder. But when you see a field of flowers, and guys, when I say flowers, these are like, how would I say it? Like amazingly put time in, like by Japanese farmers, to create a field that's like imperial in regards to the flowers, you know. So imagine that kind of scene compared to seeing one flower, you know. Imagine going into that forest where there's sequoias rather than just seeing one small tree. You will see that when wonder puts things in context for you, you were always excited about life. You always knew what to do, and you are doing it. You just need to, just very sincerely, just get a bit more honest with yourself, and don't think that others have your answers. You have your answer for yourself. Because that's when you find Mr. Within. That's when you are getting your knowing of your action, not based on the external physical phenomena, but the awareness and the knowing that knows the phenomena is here. And of course, guys, this is a changing process. Many beings back in the day went on spiritual journeys. That means they weren't looking for a job to give their, one of their resume copies to. They were looking for the purpose of existence. They were excited. They were checking the arts, philosophies. They were just expanding everything. As if some guy who's as if some guy with celestial existential intelligence is just running into his house looking for something. Do you know? You can see the purpose that a human being finds is purposeful to them, for it is energizing them and also giving them more existential allowance to be. But you need to also see that it would be a sense of slavery if you were just thinking you are an individual aspect of your moment of experience rather than the whole of it and the observance that is observing your moment. Just like how I look at that bench, what profound light in what profound eye is keeping manifestation here? And this does not need to suggest a story, because it could be your eyes. My friends, leaving addiction with a leaf means it's as simple as understanding that there is change and you are in a life process. Regardless how much the leaf wants to be green, at a certain season it will go through a crumbling experience. And recognize, regardless whether you feel as if you are a leaf who is imperfect, whether it's a leaf that has a hole in it, recognize that you are still connected to the intelligence of the tree, for you are the intelligence of the tree. And so just like that leaf, rather than thinking as if the designs on the leaf are being lived wrong, begin to see that you were never living for yourself. Life was living, and we are a self-aware recognition of it. Our consciousness is a guest to the world that is introduced out of novelty. And so that is why having respect for your world will teach you that you do not need to have certain things in your life. And perhaps the beauty of the leaf metaphor is that once you trust the existence, it'll be like the leaf being like, all right, the seasons are changing, my green aspect is gonna just crumble, you know? So the tree, the leaf, becomes the understanding that was the stem that was keeping it. When we, in a sense, pass away in our temporal transition, it's as if the leaf has crumbled. As if the leaf has fallen, the change has come, but we are still the intelligence that is within the stem. It's just that if you just think you're a leaf, you'll always think an apocalypse is waiting for you. But if you become aware that the leaf is not a leaf, your origination comes out of a greater intelligence beyond space and time. Because space and time is still in that arena of questioning. We are not certain of it, and that is where direct experience is trying to be molded, and Mr.Within doesn't like it. Always go for direct experience, because it is the greatest thing to observe. What that means is if the scientist listened to the silence of the yogi and observed his presence, he would see that the human being has chosen to acknowledge and observe truth through terminology, ideology, and language. But truth is a state of being. So you will begin to see those people who seems like they're living life right is because they're more aware to life. Regardless of that guy's job or something, his state of being is high. The guy's happy. Because happiness is within his world. He walks in and it's like his own assumptions, his own self-talk, his own considerations of incapability are not present. For when you no longer become ignorant to tell your world how it should be, you will begin receiving the blessing of how your world is. Trust life and trust your hidden roots. For man's consciousness, in regards to what Mr.Within finds is going to happen in 7 or 10 years, is that he is going to project such a creative moment that he will be aware he is not that creation. You will live in a way where you will see that you are beyond your ideas, and it is life's gifts to you and no other man's gift. Remember, some men recognized that names were things that were put on like masks. Beyond name, everybody deserves to exist. In every way, existence is existing. Have tolerance for who is alive with you as you are alive, my fellow being. For once you begin to break your fear of death with an instant of knowing, you will see that it will become your greatest teacher. You will become a consciousness that is aware of reality simultaneously, in the sense that every part of one aspect of the consideration of your spectrum is suggesting the next. So when you say good to me, I'm seeing both a world that's good and bad simultaneously. It's all there, and it's not actually man. Man thinks it's creation, but it's just like how the light enters man's eyes, you know? Sometimes we cannot linearize too much, for the phenomena is happening very newly. In other words, sometimes you find within the human form moments where it has no idea what's happening, and the only way it can know is to simply be. Some moments in your life, and especially those who are grieved, you need more of being. You need to perhaps be alone and just observe the world around you. And after you've been alone by observing your loss, after seeing that loss, then contemplate from the experiences that are happening to you. Because the difference between the man that trusted life and the man who didn't was that the man who trusted life trusted everything that was coming to him. And that creates a greater platform of awareness for you to recognize self-reflectively that you are the mirror of existence. That the wonder of man is present within the unknown. You never had an addiction, for you never were you. You were an awareness to certain ideas which you associated to yourself in a certain moment, which is now part of your memory. Remember, memory is a new refabrication. And sometimes we may think we're remembering the same story, but in actuality, the environment is so different that there will be no way you can receive it, because the imagery of the environment is it has a presence. What that means is just like how there's a forest here, Mr.Within finds there are, this is of course being said playfully, there are forests in regards to your subtler realms. And when I say forest, don't get this wrong. I mean, do not create some fantasy for yourself. I'm simply suggesting you as a human being know some things, and as you see what you know, you also see what you don't know. And you go acknowledge that and improve your externality by recognizing how you should be handling this life is with the joy of getting involved in it. What that means is if you're not loving getting involved in this plane of existence, that is not a nice plane ride. There's turbulence there. Get rid of turbulence and remember the pilot of consciousness. For when man sees beyond man, he was all that he could ever know. Much blessings and namaste.